on the November 2025 What's Neat.
For this video, it's going to be layout construction. That is creating the nighttime effect on my layout. The What's Neat show is sponsored by Lombard Hobbies, your value hobby shop for over 40 years of modelers helping modelers. Big inventory, value pricing, fast shipping, and great service. And by Broadway Limited Imports, the cutting-edge leader in model trains. Check out their website at broadway-limited.com. Modeltrainbox.com, the best way to store and transport your models. Check out their website at modeltrainbox.com. And by Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmanntrains.com. And thank you for helping us support the best hobby in the world. This is What's Neat for November 2025. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, and this month we've got a really good show. First of all, for this video, it's going to be layout construction, and I try something different. I've seen it done before, but I've never tried it myself, and that is creating the nighttime effect on my layout. I tried various lights from Walmart, from Home Depot, from Lowe's, and came up with just an amazing effect on my layout. It's one of the most dramatic things I've ever done. Also this month, I want to share with you some of the beautiful venture cars, the Siemens Venture cars that Bachmann Industries has been making. So at the end of the show, I want to show you some beautiful run-bys and talk about some great new paint schemes that are coming out. Right now, I'm shooting some gorgeous models out here from Broadway Limited Imports in N scale. These are SD40-2 locomotives, and I've got the Union Pacific 3593, the camouflaged paint scheme, absolutely beautiful for Desert Storm. I also have the Milwaukee Road. This is the America's Bicentennial paint scheme. Absolutely, again, another beautiful model. That one's got dynamic brakes, and as you see the Rock Island here, this one has no dynamic brakes. I shot these, of course, all outside, and I'm showing you the beautiful photos of them. You can't even tell they're N scale. The handrails are so beautiful. Paragon 4 sound, all the bells and whistles that you want to expect, and they run absolutely smooth. Now, when I'm doing photo shoots outside, I've got to bring the models in and out all the time safely. Or when I'm going to a train club, I'd like to bring a lot of models with me, like, for example, when I had the Midwest Valley Modelers layout. And the one thing that was very helpful for this process are carrying cases for your train. So here's an HO scale carrying case. A gentleman by the name of Ben Carroll from Australia did a lot of research on what works, what doesn't, different kinds of foam, and he really came up with a beautiful concept. You can check these out at modeltrainbox.com. The foam inserts are beautifully laid out, whereas all you have to do is pull out the foam, and then you can add as many cars as you want. I think Joshua will put like 13 locomotives in a box like this, which is pretty heavy, but if you're storing them, it's flat, it's safe, and it comes with a really nice lid. One more thing I want to show you from Ben Carroll's company. This attaché case. This is perfect for traveling with locomotives. And I want to show you this in detail. I've got a big boy in here. It fits perfectly. I've got a diesel in there. There's a passenger car in there. And you can take out all these inserts and then put them back in. It gives you more stability if you're only carrying a few models. I mean, it's a beautiful case. I think it's like $75. It's a deal. This case, of course, you can line up 2 passenger cars end to end in it. It is the right length for that. But again, this one fits a big boy beautiful blue just quite well. It's a good deal. I know they sell the blue boxes in 5-packs, and I also was told by Joshua Barton that they will fit into a restaurant cart, so you could have a stacking system. You know how they store restaurant trays? I believe these will fit. So check it out, modeltrainbox.com. Check out their website. They make NCE throttle holders. They make straps so you can carry multiple boxes at one time. And of course, this attaché case. I like this. It looks professional. It's safe for travel. Taking models to the RPM meet, boy, would that be perfect for that. Thank you, Ben Carroll, for doing the research and doing your part to support this, the best hobby in the world, because that's what it's all about. The small mom and pop companies are what makes our hobby so rich. Also, be sure to check out the What's Neat This Week video podcast that we shoot down here every Saturday night, keeping you updated on what's new in the hobby, various manufacturers, various guests, a lot of products. It's a weekly update on everything in your favorite hobby and mine, model railroading, the best hobby in the world. And so with that, let's continue on with the rest of this November 2025 What's Neat. For this segment of What's Neat, we're going to continue on with layout construction on that portion of layout that over the past summer you've seen me work on, and you've also seen me put the lighting in on this module. I haven't done anything new to this area since the trackage had been laid. But what I want to talk about today is lighting this area. Now, the area where the shelf was built here, I've got these old puck lights. And these are halogen lights, and I've already got two of them I can see down there that are burned out. I'd like to put a row of those fancy LED lights maybe, and some sort of a valance right there to light that area. Also on this diorama here, where I've already put a lot of Atlas and Woodland Scenics lighting system. You watched me do this in a previous What's Neat video, including lighting up that beautiful building back there. I'd like to create a nighttime type of an effect. All these lights are so incredibly bright. And in the past, I'll show you this one video clip, I did film an Amtrak train running through this module at night. But I had other lights on in the room, shop lights in the background, just to give me a little bit of lighting on the scene, but it really didn't create the nighttime effect that I think I'm looking for. So what I had done, I've gone to Walmart, of all places, one night at 11 o'clock at night, and I picked up two strip lights. These LED, this one's 16 feet long. They're about $35. They come with remote control controllers, and you can make them all sorts of colors. And this is a relatively heavy plastic light. It looks strong. It looks durable. It comes with the remote. And I'm interested in the blue spectrum. And another set of lights that I picked up the same evening, and these were both about $35. This is another set of LED lights. They're also 16 feet long. It comes with a remote. But these are more or less on a strip where you can, I think it would have an adhesive backing on it, and roll the lights out and attach them to something. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to mount this yet. I pulled out a ceiling tile and kind of had explored where my outlets are to light these track lights. I'm not sure which lighting system I'll use, the heavy plastic one or the thin strip in this area. But the goal here, the end result of this video, is to create a different lighting effect when all these bright lights are off and all the small lights are on the diorama. That bluish, maybe nighttime effect is what I'm after. And as for under the cabinets over here, I think what I'm probably going to use is that heavier rope that I just showed you, that heavier, thicker strip of light. And two ways to approach it: put one thin sheet of plywood down here a little bit, creating an edge, valance, so to speak, or take the same type of stock here, this L stock, this trim lumber that I used here. Maybe put a piece of that up here and mount those heavy lights to it. But what it'll do is it'll effectively give me an even lighting all throughout the scene. I can make it white light or blue light or just whatever effect that I may want to do. And I did already pre-measure. These cabinets are around 16 feet all the way throughout. And so is the area that we will be looking at over this diorama here. That's also about actually 12 feet. So I'll tuck the additional lighting up into the ceiling tile where it won't be seen. So with that said, that's kind of my thought process on this. Other things we're going to do in the future, I've got to get in there and paint all that trackage that's on the beautiful stained wood. We've got to put in lights over there, potentially ballast, block switches, fascia, a lot of stuff coming up here for these What's Neat videos now rolling into, this is November right now. So November, December, figure a lot of neat construction videos coming up on this layout. So with that, let's see how this lighting project turns out. It's really easy to overthink this. These LED lights come on a spool, and this is the stuff that's got sticky tape on the back of it. So in my process of overthinking this, I actually was going to take some of the ceiling tile grid work, the angle grid work that comes in 12-foot long pieces, and it's aluminum, it's very light. And I was going to create a valance of some type and hang it from the ceiling tile grid work here that I've got. The more I've looked and thought about this self-stick, very light weight strip of lighting, I undid the track light here, the first row, and I moved them back about 6 inches, so that what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and actually attach this sticky tape up to the track that holds the lighting. How simple that will be. All I've got to do is find a way to get power to it and then have a on and off switch so I can control the nighttime lighting separate from the great blue lights. Now the reason I know that this is going to work is because I bought a 32-foot strip at Lowe's tonight, and I hung it up on the back side of the layout where I've got the train station and all the new trackage you've seen me build. And check this out. I could change it any color I want, but this is the color I believe I want, is this bluish effect to create nighttime. So all we need now is a whole bunch of lights on the layout here, and it should work really well. There's a few areas where I had to go over the duct work. I may cover that up with black tape or something. But you get the idea of how simple it is to simply attach the self-stick lighting to my existing track work that I've already got up here. And it's working. Now, I don't know how long this sticky stuff will stay sticky. Will it start falling down in a year or two? Probably zip ties at that point. I'll deal with it then. But I know the idea is going to work. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and attach the lighting to this area. And then when we flip on the switch and light up all the little lights on the layout with the blue hue in the room and all these bright lights off, it should create the effect I'm after. So give me a few minutes to stick this up and let's see how this turns out. So I picked up a 32-foot strip of this LED material. And what I've done now is I've got a power source set up so that I can control the main spotlights differently from these blue lights, which I will eventually run around the entire layout as I see this is going to add a dynamic to the layout that I really think is going to be neat. So this basically comes in a kit. I've seen this done on so many layouts, but in the last 5 years, this technology has changed. They all come with a remote. So here's the material in a UV protected package. This little sensor needs to hang in plain sight so that with the remote you can make it any level of blue nighttime you want, brighter, less bright, what have you. Joshua Barton brought up the fact that this stuff makes great sunrises with the color spectrum that it offers. And then a simple wall transformer. So this will go up into the ceiling tile and connect to a outlet that I now have got up there that, again, like I said, is operated separate from these main lights. And this material now has got a self-adhesive stick to it that holds incredibly well. The question is duration. And one other thing that Joshua Barton informed me about is all of these, the ones that I've been getting from Tech from Lowe's, all the remotes work with all of the systems. So one remote will work with all of them, which is kind of cool. And I just want to illustrate how this works. This would plug into the sensor, which then gets powered with a power supply. This is a material on what's essentially looks like an old film roll, or the guys that remember reel-to-reel tapes. And the blue is what you want to peel off right here. Sometimes it comes off easy, and sometimes you've got to just use your finger, and there you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to start at the end, down there on the very end. And I'm going to do the back row of lights. And then I'm going to swing it around, and I'm going to do the track that holds the front row of lights that we move back 6 inches, with the intent thinking that this will cast the light onto the side of the freight cars with no shadows as you look at it. So rather than to bore you with the rest of sticking this up there, I'm going to stick it up there. Maybe I'll show you some B-roll of that. Okay, I've got it connected up completely as per factory. So let me show you. Let me kill the lights in here. And I got this to turn on this remote. So I hit the on button. And I've got white light, which is kind of interesting. Let me line this up just right. And then I want dark blue for nighttime effect. Alright, that is blue. Now I can dim it, and that's what I want. So now this gives you a really good idea of how this whole thing. So with all the buildings lit and the train running through there, and let me do something further. Let me kill the lights in the background. So that gives me a really great start for a nighttime effect. The blue cast is very cool. I mean, look how dramatic that looks back there. You can still see the room, see the trains going by. And of course, I've got 2 rows of very bright lights in the event that we're shooting video down here and we want it to be bright. So now the next step, as we continue on, this diorama moving forward, I want to get the lighting under the cabinets in place. As I've explained previously, as we're building this project, the puck lights are antiquated, the bulbs are expensive, they burn out quickly. I'm done with it, so I'm going to put another row of the lights that I showed you that we purchased from Walmart. They're heavier plastic. In fact, I've got it right here. This is a more robust. It's not the thin tape you just saw me put up. Much thicker plastic light. And I'm assuming it's going to be like the lights that I've got hanging up right here above the switch yard. These lights stay on all the time. I want to say they've been on for going on 14 years, and they have not burned out yet. They're just on just like that all the time. It makes a great night light in the room when I'm not actually working down here. So I'm going to show you the cabinetry and what's going to go into lighting up the section that we just built in a few What's Neats back, where you saw me build all the woodwork and run the 4 tracks above the washer, dryer, sink area under the cabinets. That's where this row of lights is going to go. Okay, so we're going to round out this lighting project with the last segment, last section right here. And this is that part that I built, the shelf over the washer and dryer area that you saw me do in the last March or April What's Neat video. I've got to get these puck lights out. They're all individually wired, so it's easy to pull those out. The one thing I wasn't thrilled about was looking at these cabinets. If I look up the cabinets, and I don't think I can give you this clear image, but they're very warped as you look through them. So hanging a row of lights underneath those cabinets and using trim lumber. I was thinking about taking this, I've got some stock right here, and I would put it up right on the bottom of the cabinets, but I don't want, it's going to be bending up and down. It'll accentuate the warp in the cabinets. Now I have bolted these cabinets to the walls, so they're not going to go anywhere. But when you buy the cheap prefab cabinets, these are 30 years of hanging here, they do that droop. So the plan is this. I picked up a 14 foot long section of this material, and the cabinets are 13.5 feet long. What I think I'm going to do is, after I take the puck lights out, instead of attaching it flush with the cabinets right here, which again is going to be difficult, I don't want it bending up and down. And if you look here, the more I add, the more shadow box this area is starting to get. Now I'm down to about 7 inches of visibility of looking into the area. So I don't want to cut off another distance. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to put it inside here, underneath, further in, about 2 inches. And what that'll do is it'll still light up the tracks directly below it, but it also won't follow the contours of the cabinets. And I think by doing that, we'll just take the Ulitech light system. That's the ones I've been getting from Lowe's, and I've used those all the way around the basement at this point. I've lit most of the layout now with these. This will be the last section. So I'm going to simply take these. The glue on this stuff works really well. Some of the other brands that I've gotten, the glue's not so great, and I'm using contact adhesive to make sure that they stand up. One thing is, I'm glad I use the same brand of lights, because it allows one remote controller to control everything, which is wonderful. Everything's set for the same lightness all the way around the room with one controller. I really like that. So what I'm going to do is cut the piece of wood now, put it in place, make it match, of course, the color of the room, potentially stain it, although you're not going to see it. I could just paint it black. And then stick the row of lights up in it. And this area should be lit. I know the last thing I want to do in this area is paint these rails, because these rails really shine a lot, and it kind of is just not exactly the way I envisioned it. So I'll probably end up masking, if you can believe it, and taking Rust-Oleum earth brown camouflage paint and painting the rails. The other option would be to use rail darkener for microengineering. That also works. It makes the rails dark. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's get this last set of lights up, and we'll end out this video on creating nighttime effects on your layout. One thing I do find interesting about the What's Neat videos that we have been making lately is I start them out with one idea. I say I'm going to use one brand of lights for the project, and midway through the project, things change. I've seen it happen with layout construction when we're building things over here. It just occurred to me now that I'm talking about putting this valance up and then coloring the rails. You could color the rails with either roof brown paint or micro-engineering rail weathering solution, which works really well. The fact is, as I work my way through these videos, sometimes my ideas change midstream because doing the project I find out there's a better way to do it or a better product to use. So when I'm editing these, I find it comical sometimes that I start out the video saying this is what we're going to do, and halfway through the video you find out I'm using a different brand of lighting, which I didn't use any of the Walmart lights I started talking about at the front of this video about 30 minutes ago, which is actually in reality we're going into 3 weeks on this project because I have researched a lot of different lights, and so far, again, because you can use the same remote, I'm super happy with what I've gone with. And one other thing I can say before I actually finish this project, putting these lights up down here in the last 3 weeks has been one of the most effective things I've ever done for this layout. The nighttime effect, again, is relatively dramatic, and I haven't had the track lights on in 3 weeks. I've just had the blue lights on down here while I work and run trains. So, yeah, rock and roll. Let's get this job done, and let's see what happens with the final product underneath the cabinets. One thing I want to say about the 14-foot piece of trim wood here. I was thinking about staining it like I do all the woodwork down here, and then on the inside where the light's going to go, paint it white was my idea. But by design of the way the lights are, it's going to be completely unnecessary to paint the underneath side white because the lights will be just right onto the side of the trains. So that part I'm not worried about. So I'm going to run this through, let this dry for a few hours, and then mount this underneath the cabinetry. So after reconsidering placement of this piece of wood further a couple inches inward, I've decided to go ahead and mount it flush anyway. Simply because underneath the side of the cabinet is about a half an inch of empty space, and I didn't want to come in and bring in filler wood and build a filler piece for that. So I'm simply going to put this up just like that, best I can, even though there's unevenness in the cabinetry. Not the best work, but it's the best we can do under these circumstances, and it's still going to look dynamite. While I'm waiting for the stain to dry underneath our new light valance, so to speak, before the adhesive on this is not going to stick to wood stain until it dries. So I'm just letting that sit up. While that's going on, I put a piece of paper underneath the trackage. It's on this shelf. Only the main line has been glued down. The rest of the track has just been floating for the last 5 months. And so I'm simply lifting it up, putting a piece of paper underneath it, and I'm using camouflage brown, and I'm spraying the rail so it doesn't look shiny. This is the first time that I've used micro-engineering unweathered track. I usually use weathered track. And I maybe should have done this before I assembled it, but this is going to work. That's all you need, just a little bit to kill the shine of the rails. And then of course a bright boy on top of that when the glue cures and sets up. Okay, I've installed the lighting into our wooden piece of trim underneath the entire 13.5-foot stretch. And you can see right here from this video, I can see it in the screen. If you'll notice, this side is more lit than that side, the other side. Okay, I don't think that's cool. That's not how it's supposed to be, so maybe I've got a defective string. The fact is, it's just so much brighter, as you can see just from this right here. My thought process is to replace that string of lights. It's a USB powered string. I wasn't sure about that, but it's still on a block, but it's not adequate. In fact, if I kill these lights down here, you can see actually the camera is compensating, so you can't see how much darker it is on one side. The blue effect is quite nice though, I will say that. So what I'm going to do next, I want to go ahead and put up the new string. I'm going to do an edit here. Okay, there's the blue effect that I couldn't get it to come out. And actually in the blue effect, it seems even all the way across. So here's what my plan is. I picked up another strip of these lights. These are going to be actual plug in the wall. They come with a transformer, 16 foot from Lowe's. I'm going to restring those up underneath here. Oh my God, look at that. That's great. You can see it on the inside of the trim. So I'm just going to peel this off, pull it down, and it's probably useless at this point now that it's all sticky and it's been peeled off. And that's okay. We'll just write it off as an experience. I really like the white effect, but I want it to be bright enough so that when all these lights are on in the room, it still makes that bright. And so the answer to that was, for about $75, you can get this white seamless tape light. I picked this up at the Home Depot. Commercial Electric is the brand on it. It's 16 feet long. It's exactly long enough where I can tuck some of it up in the cabinet. This is going to change neon lights because it's a continuous strip of light and it's very thin. So I'm going to literally put both of these up underneath here, so I can control the blue light with the rest of the blue lights in the room separate from the white light, which I will have on a dimmer switch, which has already been connected because the puck lights that were there were on a dimmer switch. So this isn't a video about electrical wiring, but what we're doing is, again, you're seeing something else change as I learn more about this. It's an amazing effect. We're learning a lot about how these lights work. Let me get this last part done and let's see how this finally turns out. Okay, let me show you how this turned out because it looks dynamite. The solid strand LED light that I put up there is on a dimmer switch, and it's bright enough right now where when a train is running, you can see underneath the cabinets quite well when all the lights are on down here in the area. When I turn off the lights down here and I turn off the, which is on a dimmer switch, I can dim down the white lights. But if I turn those off, I'm left with the second string of lights, which is all blue, which now matches the theme of the entire layout room, which I will tell you is probably one of the most strikingly effective things I've ever done to my layout room. It just makes a great difference down here, and it looks absolutely amazing. And I've kept most of the track lights off lately, so I'm saving a great deal on electricity. The scene over here looks absolutely fantastic. underneath the blue lights with all of the Atlas lights, Woodland Scenics lights, and the building all lit up. So rock and roll, I would say that this was a success. We've tried multiple different types of strands. I found the best luck with the strands that I got from the Lowe's, which is the ones I've strung up all the way around down here in the studio. So you can't go wrong. Try it on your layout. Create that nighttime effect. Create the mood. You can still see your trains quite clearly underneath the light, and it really enhances the lighting effects that are already on your locomotives. So the nighttime run-bys down here, I can show you one here on the lit scene. They're absolutely beautiful. It doesn't matter what I'm shooting, it just looks absolutely fabulous. So with that, that ends this segment for November's What's Neat, how to make your layout lighting, I guess, blue, creating the nighttime effect on your layout. It's really cool. Try it out. Have some fun with it. See how it works for your layout space. And so with that, that is this segment for What's Neat. To continue on with our nighttime theme of this November's What's Neat, as I promised, I wanted to talk about the Siemens Venture cars that Bachmann Industries, Scott Nauert, a famous photographer here in St. Louis, photographs the railroads every day. And so by me following his Facebook page, I'm able to see the current consists that Amtrak is running. And I love that. I don't even have to go out. It's amazing. Thank you, Scott Nauert. But the fact is, I've seen these cars from Bachmann, these Venture cars, I've seen them in our service mixed in with Horizon cars and Coach cars, and it just makes for a very interesting consist. It reminds me of Amtrak in the mid-70s when they were kind of mixing up things a bit and trying to find their way until they finally went with the Amfleet cars and the old F40s, and it was a great consist. But I want to talk about these cars. The fact is, Bachmann has got a wonderful relationship with Siemens, which is really good for all of us modelers because they're able to get the dimensions on each car, know when new ones are coming out, be right there for the new paint schemes of the various railroads around the world that would literally order these. And so that's what I want to talk about next. And I'm going to turn on the lights down here so I can do just that. I've got two sets of cars now. I've got the Via cars, and I've also got, let me pull this engine off. This is a beautiful engine. I also have the Amtrak Midwest cars, and Bachmann Industries, now that it's been a year and a half since the first ones came out, finally now have these back in stock, which is a really good thing. You can order those now. In addition to that, Amtrak Midwest married pair coaches and business cars will be shipping by the end of the year. These represent the prototype cars that are semi-permanently connected together with a drawbar coupler. They will be offered individually, so you don't have to worry about consisting them together, but if you want to, they will arrive with the Easy-Mate drawbars, Easy-Mate couplers, and also the NEM close couplers, which are really great because these cars look fantastic when they're close coupled together. I've shot video of that in the past, and I was very impressed. They look good when they're close together instead of being so far apart because sometimes couplers don't let you get that close. The Via Rail Lumi cars will be arriving this spring, replicating one of the one-off paint schemes applied to the Midwest order delivered from Siemens, and based on the color scheme of the United Aircraft turbo train that operated on the Via Rail during the 70s. A charger will also be available to complete this consist, which is awesome. These locomotives are beautiful, the lighting effects are cool, and they run fantastic. Later in 2026, we're expecting our first run of Amtrak San Joaquin Venture cars featuring specific tooling for those cars. And also, get excited, the N-Scale guys. The first run of Midwest Amtrak and Via Rail Canada Venture cars will be arriving in the early spring of 2026, featuring all the details and the lighting features that we've come to love now on these HO scale cars. So check it out. This is exciting for the folks that love to model modern passenger trains these days. It's awesome. Thank you very much, Bachmann, for what you do to support us model railroaders in this, the best hobby in the world. And of course, you can get these from Lombard Hobbies. Thank you very much, Lombard, for what you do for us on this show. And so with that ends this November 2025. What's neat? Next month, a lot more layout construction coming right up. All of the products seen on this episode of What's Neat are available from Lombard Hobbies in Lombard, Illinois, or order online at lombardhobby.com. Broadway Limited Imports, the cutting-edge leader in model trains. Check out their website at broadway-limited.com. Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmanntrains.com. Modeltrainbox.com, the best way to store and transport your models. Check out their website at modeltrainbox.com.